Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis. Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Then let's get this show started right now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag, the show that's all about you, the listener, for the next probably hour and a half, usually how long these shows are, we'll see. But it's all about you, and I'm glad that you guys take the time to call in and write, because I want to know what's on your mind. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what your questions are, what you may be wondering about, what you want to rant about. But I want to give a shout out to Aiden O'Connell, who is back on the WWE Podcast as far as becoming a patron. So thank you so much for that. And let's jump into it. And by the way, guys, if you join as a patron, you get priority placement in the Mailbag show. That's one of the perks. So head on over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast, or just search us out there and sign up for $1. You get that and our entire library ad-free for $1 on top of a bunch of other stuff. Pretty good, right? So head on over there, and I think you'll be really glad you did. Okay, well, let's, speaking of which, get to the patrons and their questions for the week, which you can also email us at realwwepodcast@gmail.com or call in 518-952-0247. All right. And our first message comes to us from Miller. I was told it's pronounced Miller, not Muller. So I'm going to go Miller 92. He writes in and says, "How's it, Matt? I'm busy catching up on all the missed shows I didn't watch and podcasts on Patreon. I personally have struggled to finish a Raw show. SmackDown from my aid is so much easier and so much more entertaining. Roman Reigns is the boss." No, you got that right, my friend. He says, please don't tell Sasha. All right, your secret's safe with me. I won't tell anyone. He is really so good. It makes me, as a viewer, curious to hear what he's going to say and see what he's going to do. Women's division is a mess, and it feels like one of the first wrestling games for PlayStation. Ouch. I do remember that. On a side note, I believe the first WWE game for PlayStation, just the first PlayStation, might have been SmackDown. It was just called SmackDown, I think, right? And then the second one was SmackDown Know Your Role. Third one was Just Bring It. Fourth one was Shut Your Mouth. Fifth one was Here Comes the Pain. And then after that, I can't remember. Probably went into the SmackDown versus Raw series. Pretty sure on that. But hey, video games, maybe that's a... Wrestling video games. I don't think I've ever discussed wrestling video games as a topic on this show ever. I'm a big fan. I've just never discussed it. But anyway, getting back to your email, Miller. So, yeah, that's rough. That's a rough analysis. You say not much to choose from, and now not much to discuss, unfortunately, because I feel there were great potential. Now they're pushing Nikki Cross in some way, but for a mystery partner, Asuka, bring in someone freaking new. They are trying to lead Mysterio versus Reigns, but come on, almost 0% a chance of Rey winning. He's at his end. By the way, where is Edge? Where is Sasha Banks? And where is the 24/7 title? So, yeah, you've got more, but I'll answer your questions. Where is Edge? I think waiting for his next opponent. And he's also being very selective at this point in his career. He's not going to be there on any kind of full-time basis. So I think he's waiting. I think Sasha's waiting for fans to come back. I think fans coming back really is the trigger and spark for so much to happen. I think we're going to see an explosion of stars returning on both Raw and SmackDown starting when the fans come back. Maybe not that exact night, but over time. I think it'll happen. As far as the Raw 24/7 or the 24/7 championship goes, sorry, man, I just don't care. I don't miss it. I don't think about it. It's actually a good thing. I think that they've kind of just forgot about it. Okay, you say Raw is so boring. I will even bring back the comedy relief of the 24/7 title chases. I have to disagree with you, my friend. I was so over it. people running in single file, and it's the same like 6 guys that don't have anything else going on, and they have to run in single file. It's bad. I don't miss that. You say the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view feels very mellow this year. Thank goodness it's not called WrestleMania Backlash inside Hell in a Cell. God almighty, don't give them any ideas, my friend. Please, 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 please. Lashley versus Drew in the Cell. I do not feel like the heat in the old days to have it in the Cell, but there's no other intense rivalry for me to have in the Cell. Yes, I mean, I don't want to continue to beat a dead horse. I will only say that I've said this for years, literally years at this point, that the Cell should not be a stipulation, or I'm sorry, it shouldn't be on as part of the pay-per-view schedule. It should be a stipulation that is deserving of the feuds going on, not the other way around. I cannot emphasize that enough. It has watered down what Hell in a Cell means. I have no other way to put that, and I stand by that, and I agree. Lashley, you said that. Maybe Seth and Cesaro, but even them don't feel right for me. Both that, and that's the specialty of Hell in a Cell, right? It shouldn't. The pay-per-view schedule shouldn't dictate Hell in a Cell. The programs going on should. Okay. Both tag team titles and the stories are not very interesting to me. I feel if they could merge them, it would be have a lot more prestige. And do the women do the same as women's tag titles and defend them all over brands? Well, I think they already do that. Well, the women's tag titles, they already do that. I mean, they don't go to NXT because they don't care about NXT, but they could. Going back to what you, Matt, have said a lot, after Kofi Mania and his title reign, he lost the title, went straight back to chucking pancakes. Then 2 years later, he says he never got his rematch. He gets his chance and loses, and straight back to the tag team battle royal, and he lost. He's holding Xavier Woods back. Look how great Woods was as a performer versus Riddle and Orton, for that matter. Awesome match. I think agreed. You know, I don't know what Xavier Woods' future holds. I think it may still. I think he may forever be as part of the New Day. I don't know if they ever look at him as a single star. I don't, unfortunately. Okay, to close out your email here. Oh boy, you got a couple more paragraphs. You said that if they do the bloodline and the Usos join, a female to join and dominate SmackDown as SmackDown Women's Champion would be amazing. But who not to join? Not Tamina, and hopefully not Nia Jax, but any other options. I'm going to try to stay more positive next time. Thanks, Matt. Well, I think Nia Jax actually makes sense given her heritage, her lineage. Unfortunately, I'm not a Nia Jax fan on any level for any reason at all. Personal, professional, character, or otherwise. I just have no interest in Nia Jax. I'm not saying she should be fired. I'm not saying she's a bad person. It's just not my cup of tea on any level that I've seen from her at all. I'll just leave it there. But she would make sense given her heritage. So I feel Alexis Bliss's pain. Besides pets dying, I also have a pig. It becomes a family member. The timing of Pet's death was bad, and going to work must have been hard and emotional, not being able to perform to the best of her ability. Sorry, I'm going back to last week's mailbag. I agree with Ethan. Rhea Ripley has been very underwhelming. And, as I mentioned, it's a very small women's division, and Bianca Belair hasn't had a very good storyline since WrestleMania. So maybe a merger for the women's titles, like the tag team titles, but then it's going to get very close to the old days of not having a brand split. Exactly. Yeah, that's the problem, is they'd have to... I mean, they could have a brand split and also merge the championships, and you could have champions float between brands as they want to, but the problem would be you'd always have to make sure that you're balancing out the championships and not all championship matches are on the same show. It would be a very difficult thing to balance, but would that difficulty in balancing outweigh the positive of the fact there's fewer championships? I don't know. You know, I think WWE won't do it. I don't think there's a chance of that. But I see your point, and I'm a big fan of fewer championships in general. Your final thing you say is, simp is an idiot, a foolish person, or acting like a damn silly idiot. Well, I didn't know that. I've heard, your definition kind of lines up with others. I still am trying to understand what a simp is. You help out, Miller. I feel like it's based in some kind of sexual thing. That's the general definition I'm getting from people. That like you simp over. Do you simp over someone? Is that a thing? Or like you're crushing on someone, you have a crush? I don't get it. I don't get it. So continue, guys, to send in your definitions for this ignorance that I have about what a simp is. Okay. Randy writes in, also a patron of the show, and says, "Hey Matt, Randy here. So Shayna and Alexa are interesting. I saw it as entertaining. I think they both played it great. The only thing I'm worried about is, are they really going to make her fight the doll? Who are you seeing getting over in this match or feud?" Okay, that's your first question. I want to, honestly, I don't know. I hate to cop out, but I don't want to give you an answer that I don't believe in. The reason I can't give you an answer is because I want to see what they do next week with the backlash of the fan reaction to what happened. And you seem to be in the minority of, looking at it as entertaining, and that's great. But I think you're in the minority. I think most fans completely destroyed what they saw Monday night with Alexa and Shayna. So I can't give you an answer because this just started, and I want to see if they kind of redirect course next week and not do so much hocus pocus, and maybe get to, Alexa versus Shayna and not so much about Lily. Like, why are we focusing on a doll that really isn't, a part of the program here? Like, Lily is not an active competitor, right? It's gotten so far off the rails already without even starting. But I don't want to give you an answer, my friend. I can't yet. I want to see what they do next week. If they respond to the fan backlash, or if they just say, to hell with everybody, we're doing what we wanted to do. Okay, RK Bro honestly thought they were going to win the shot at the tag titles. However, the Viking Raiders is a great choice, and the whole chicken thing was funny. I thought they were going to win as well. I really did. I got baited into it. So I think the next person they need to have go for the title against Belair should be Liv Morgan. They need to build her up now and make her a contender. I see a three-way between Liv, Sasha, and Carmella, with hopefully Liv winning. Well, I agree Liv Morgan deserves more than she's ever got in her career. And I'm not saying they should make her the face of the company. But it feels like she's never got a fair shake. Same with Ruby Riott, who's obviously now gone. But I wouldn't be so encouraged with what I saw on SmackDown this past week with her losing to Carmella via submission in the Code of Silence. I want to see a little bit more from Liv, meaning not just those pre-taped, pre-packaged, processed promos that they give on the way to the ring. That's how you know that they're not really putting a ton of stock in that person. It's like throwing a bone to the character, where they just give these stock, kind of like no heart or soul promos going to the ring. Has anyone ever seen one of those promos during that person's man or woman's entrance that has ever felt anything for? Does anybody even remember one? What anyone said ever? The answer is no. They do a disservice. I understand they're trying to give that person mic time, but you might as well not give them any, because fans they're not going to want to watch a screen promo. A one that people know is prepackaged and processed. It's not from the heart. It's just that's a definition of a scripted promo. But it wasn't encouraging this week with that, and then having her lose to Carmella. So I hope you're right. I think Liv has something to give. I do. I really do. She has a career worth living. See what I did there? All right. Terrible, terrible humor tonight, guys. Okay, you continue and say, so apparently Riker is supposed to be a babyface now. It was originally going to be Elias as the face, but they changed it last minute. I'm not sure about Riker yet and whether he is someone I want to cheer. Yeah, I don't know either. And the only thing we know about him, he served in Iraq as a veteran. And, that's commendable. But that still doesn't say anything to why I'm supposed to cheer for you. I've said this last night. You could, you could run a charity organization, but be a total, like a bad person, right? You could have the moral compass, pointing the wrong direction. You could just be a total jerk and still have a job that makes people have assumptions about the kind of person you are. And I think that's all they're running on right now is, Elias bailed on him and Riker is a veteran. We're supposed to cheer for him. No, I still need more of a reason to. Okay, your final point. I'm calling the swerve of the year when Kofi turns on Xavier and joins MVP. Take care, be safe, Randy. Randy, I discussed this with Mary Grader last night on our Raw review. You could be right. I think that out of everything Kofi's done the last year or more, that conversation with MVP he had on Monday was the most interesting thing that he's done in over a year. And I mean that. So, yeah, you're right. It could happen. Do they dare break up the New Day? We'll never see it coming. So, okay. Our next email comes to us from a patron named the G-Man. And he says, loving the run Apollo Crews is having. I just love how he says in his accent, the Intercontinental Champion. That was a terrible imitation of Nigerian accent on my part. But hoping in 2022 he gets a world title run. I'm such a big fan of him now. Roman Reigns is the damn best thing every single week. He's like the Godfather in the movies. Side note, guys, and here's where people are saying out loud, what the F? I've never seen the Godfather movies. I've also never seen any of the Star Wars or Star Trek movies. I've seen pieces, I know the premise. I know the big names. I know the famous lines of Luke, I am your father, whatever. Even though that's not the actual line, I think that's one of the Mandela effects. I've actually never seen any of the Rocky movies either. How about that? Did I just change? Did I just do a heel turn, guys? Never seen any of the Rocky movies in full. I've never seen any of the Godfather movies in full, and I've never seen any of the Star Wars or Star Trek movies in full ever. That doesn't mean I don't know the characters, the famous lines. But that's about the extent of what I know. So there, I turned heel on some of you, which is what you want to do as a podcast host, right? You want to make sure the fans are just pissed off at you. I think that's always a solid move, right? Brings in more revenue. Okay, you do one wrong thing and he's going to beat the hell out of you. Rick Boogs is going to be so over when the fans come back, man. He's so damn entertaining. And this Monday night will be the return of Eva Marie. You mean Evolution, my friend. I'm so excited to see her back. What are you going to predict she's going to do? Thanks. Take care, Matt. Okay, well, what do I think Eva Marie is going to do? Well, it seems as if they've positioned her as a babyface. Since they've positioned her as a babyface, and Charlotte is tied up with Rhea Ripley, and Asuka's a babyface, you have Nikki Cross positioned as a babyface. You're gonna have to have her work with someone that's really not doing anything right now at all. No. I really, I don't know what they're going to do other than say it's going to be with somebody that is a low to mid-level tier heel. And that's what I think, because they position her as a babyface. And I don't think she's going to go in the women's title run right away. I think that'd be a massive mistake. So, all right, G-Man, thank you for your input. Now, let's get to I believe this is our final patron email of the show. This comes to us from Amanda, and Amanda Jin writes in, "Hey Matt, I wanted to throw out some interesting information regarding the idea of WWE being sold to Disney, and I would also like to hear what you think. Charlotte Flair has suddenly started wearing Disney-inspired attire. Yeah. Wow. I feel like you know what? Like 2 sentences in, Amanda, and I feel like a total idiot, like just a fool for not making that connection. Because your next line is, she was paying homage to Cruella de Vil just weeks before the new Cruella movie was released on Disney+. She also put a tweet out several weeks ago asking what her next Disney villain-inspired outfit should be. A&E Network is also owned by Disney, who have recently started releasing various WWE documentaries. Disney had a merger with Fox back in 2019 for $71 billion. Technically speaking, Disney owns a part of SmackDown because this is shown on Fox. Disney also has a controlling stake in Hulu, which shows Raw and SmackDown. Amanda, you're making me look bad. How did I not make this connection, right? Like, as the host of the show, I should be coming up with this stuff, and yet you're trumping me. But certainly some really good points here, Amanda. I mean, in all seriousness, there is no doubt that you could draw, or rather connect the dots to a Disney purchase of WWE. You could also make the case that this is just happenstance, because Disney seems to have their paws in a lot of different areas and pots, right? I mean, Fox certainly is, showcases a lot more stuff than just Raw and SmackDown, as we know, and you know. Hulu, it shows a ton more stuff other than just Raw and SmackDown. But my point is that you could definitely draw that conclusion, but you could also draw the conclusion of, well, Disney is far-reaching and it's got a ton of money and they own a lot of different subsidiaries of media organizations. So you could draw that conclusion, and you're smart enough to come up with these conclusions, well, at least evidence-based reasons why WWE could be sold to Disney. You're right. The Charlotte Flair thing, though, it was a little interesting that she went with Cruella de Vil, and the timing of that movie. It is very suspicious. There's no doubt. So, Amanda, thank you so much for that. I know you've got a second piece to your email here about what if segments, and you suggested, what if the Monday Night Wars never happened? What if China never left the WWE back in 2001? Well, I will say the Monday Night Wars, if they never happened, the only reason I think that would be problematic to discuss would be, well, what would that mean? Did WCW not exist? Did WWE not exist? I mean, because how can you have two organizations with that type of financial backing, wrestling viewership through the roof, and yet you can't look at them as a Monday Night War, right? You mean, I guess you'd have to clarify. Is the Monday night, would that mean that like Raw would be on Monday and then Nitro would have been on like Wednesday, and we still have WCW and WWE? Is that, I'm really asking, I'm not sure, because that'd be hard to compare and say that wouldn't have happened, because it naturally would have happened if both shows were on the same night. But China, I like that one. I do like that one. Big kudos, by the way, regarding Eddie Guerrero What If. It was amazing. Can't wait to hear the What If regarding DX next week. Again, thank you for using my suggestions. Have a good week, Amanda. So thank you, Amanda, for your suggestions. And this is a testament to, guys, if you throw suggestions my way for What If or anything else, like, we're here to serve you, my friends. So whatever we can do for you. For real, though, I mean, like, that was a great suggestion, by the way, as you said, with the What If for Eddie Guerrero and the DX one. I believe Anthony and I were actually recording. We're going to record that tomorrow night, but we're going to release it probably Saturday. That's probably the day on Patreon. So that's going to be a really, really fun podcast. Always great time talking with Anthony. So guys, head on over to Patreon. Get yourself that $10 tier. It's the Raw tier. For $10, it's not just a small increase in benefits, guys. You get the What If segment, access to a VIP Discord server, basically a little chat room that we all are in when pay-per-views happen. right? Like, so there's some cool stuff, and then you go up from there. You can actually get a WWE podcast mug. There's a t-shirt available in the higher tiers that you can get as a thank you for being a patron of this show. So, all right, let's continue on and get to your emails right now. And the first one we got here is from Dennis O'Brien. He says, a shock regarding the releases. Why build up Aleister Black just to release him? Release Braun, maybe take him off screen for a while and see what you can do with him, because there is something else there. Murphy never got a chance. Lana will end up with her husband at AEW. WWE Raw is embarrassing. Vince needs to retire because he is destroying his own company. Well, I will say, yeah, Aleister Black is very puzzling, considering that they spent a significant amount of time putting those vignettes together, I would imagine, coming up with the character. And I think Vince probably didn't get it. He probably looked at it and just didn't understand the Dark Father. I didn't really either, but was there even really time to understand it? The answer is no. We didn't even get a chance. But yeah, it's weird. As far as Braun, yeah, you could take him off screen for a while, but there is something else there, something really big. I mean, the guy's 37 years old. That's not that old to be in the WWE, at least if you're at the top of your game in your prime. I mean, it's really not. So Braun Strowman is easily the most puzzling, certainly followed by Aleister Black. Murphy didn't get a chance. I agree kind of on that. Lana is the least surprising. I don't think it would have made even any real shockwaves if Lana ended up getting released and she was the only one. But yeah, WWE Raw in general is embarrassing. In general, there are some bright spots. I've noted that in my Raw review last night, in my 2-hour review with Mary Grader, by the way. And Vince, does he need to retire? I don't think he needs to retire. I don't think he'll ever retire. So that can be put to rest. But I think that he should start to slowly mitigate his responsibilities of the day-to-day operations to, say, Triple H. You know, I don't think Shane is interested in taking over the company, but perhaps Triple H, because things are going downhill quickly, especially on Monday Night Raw, and the ratings show it. So, Dennis, thank you. And now we're going to get to, good grief, we're going to get to the casual wrestling fan, and he cuts a promo on me right away. I mean, can't you hear this? I mean, maybe I should just require that he actually, calls in or do like a text to speech app for his stuff instead of me reading this. But okay, he says, it's the casual wrestling fan. Woo! I can't do the high pitched thing. My voice is hoarse. But you're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, woo, styling, profile, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun. Whether you like it or you don't like it, you're going to learn to love it. It's the best thing going today. Words from the GOAT. That's absolutely true, my friend. It's one of the most infamous wrestling promos of all time, right? I mean, most people know where the woo thing generated, and the kiss stealing, wheeling dealing. I mean, it's classic Ric Flair. So I want to start off by saying I'm really scared they're going to put the belt back on Drew. Drew lost last year at Hell in a Cell, so could he lose twice? Also, now they're saying that this is Drew's last opportunity, and the almighty WWE champion has been preoccupied with Lashley's ladies. It seems like it's a setup to make Bobby look like he's not taking being champion serious, and Drew swoops in and against all odds becomes champion for a third time, right before WWE goes back on tour. I want Bobby to remain champion, but please go back to Bobby bullying everyone instead of partying every Monday night. I think Drew has a 60% chance of winning. What percent do you give Drew to win at Hell in a Cell? I give him 10%. I think I'm at the other end of this. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it would be bad business. Why? Well, it's twofold. Number one, if you are truly trying to build up Bobby Lashley for Brock Lesnar, which I actually think is plausible, you want him to look unbeatable. Number two, people are tired of Drew McIntyre chasing the championship. If he were to win it, that would mean that there would be a whole nother cycle of him holding it and losing it and trying to get it back again. We are done with it. WWE recognizes the fans are done with it, and they can't afford for anyone else, especially a babyface the caliber of Drew, which is a unicorn right now. I mean, he's a rare breed. He's a rare find. There are not many top babyfaces, and they can't afford any of them to turn heel. They've got their mountain of heels. They don't have any big babyface stars right now. Drew is the biggest babyface star on Raw, and they are pounding him into the ground with the Raw or with the WWE Championship because they have nowhere else to go. They don't. They're trying to recreate Kofi Mania, right? And then who's next? It's sad. So no, Drew should not win. It would be a terrible creative decision, awful. So I'd give him a 10% chance of winning. AJ Styles and Sheamus being champion has hurt their main event status. AJ Styles looks weak because he has to in order to make Omos look strong. He's always taking all the punishment, then hot tags Omos, who destroys everything. And Sheamus was in a good main event program with Drew. No title involved. He was always on the Hulu version of Raw. Then he wins the U.S. title and he's on the lower mid-card programs involving another wrestler stealing his attire. He hasn't been on the Hulu version of Raw since WrestleMania. AJ's is great in his role. I love his dynamic with Omos, and they add to the tag team division. I just hate how weak he has to look. But Sheamus should ditch the U.S. belt ASAP and get an upper card program going. What do you think about these superstars' current situations? Yeah, well, that is the dynamic that they're trying to sell us, is that AJ Styles is the smaller guy that takes the beating, gets the hot tag to the big man, and he cleans house. But what else is it supposed to be? Right? Like, that's the story. That's really the only story you could tell with these two as a team. But is WWE willing to sacrifice something that they have, something good, not great, but something good they have going with AJ and Omos in a tag team that is already paper thin, to lose another team of that caliber just to have AJ Styles go on another run? I think there's a case to be made for it. I'm not saying don't do it, because I think AJ should have one more good run as champion in him before he calls it a career. But as far as Sheamus goes, yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this on my Raw review. Since WrestleMania, they had no plans after that. I mean, they clearly had nothing. I referenced my show last night. It's as if creative told Vince, yeah, this is what's going to happen with Sheamus at WrestleMania. And Vince goes, okay, great. Well, what's happening after WrestleMania? And they all kind of look around the room and they all at once kind of shrug their shoulders and go, I don't know. That's how it feels, because that's what's being shown to us. But yeah, the thing is with Sheamus going back to the main event, problem is you can't have heel versus heel, right? You can't have a heel Sheamus against a heel Bobby Lashley. And no, I don't want Sheamus versus Drew. We've seen that. So, okay. Let's see here. I believe Vinnie Mac listens to your podcast. You couldn't remember the last time a tag team match main evented Raw or SmackDown. Well, the past 2 weeks we've seen 3 tag team championship matches as the main event. Yeah. I will say, I don't know if I very, very, very much doubt Vince himself listens. It is very interesting, the timing of it, though. Do I think I have any effect on the product? The answer is no. I think it was just extremely circumstantial that happened. You know, it was just very odd. So I'll just chalk it up to an anomaly. It was just kind of one of those weird things. I'm not going to believe that I have that kind of stroke. So I was looking up current win-loss records and was kind of surprised by some wrestlers' records. So you do mention Bobby Lashley is 14-6, and McIntyre's 15-7. Roman Reigns is 6-0. Acknowledge him. Raw Women's Champion Rhea Ripley is 4-5. Charlotte Flair is 7-14. I was totally shocked, and then I remembered Ric Flair and Charlotte, or Ric Flair cost Charlotte several matches. Shayna Baszler, 17-17, 50-50 booking at its best. And then you have Bianca Belair 10-5, Bayley 4-6, AJ 12-11, Sheamus 12-10, Matt Riddle 17-10. And yes, WWE does truly have a 50-50 booking problem. Do you think they keep up with win-loss records, or do they not care? They don't give a damn, my friend. They don't care. They do not care at all about win-loss records. You know, they care about wins and losses in a vacuum, not as an aggregate, right? Like, they care about wins and losses when we're told to care about the wins and losses. Certain wins are bigger than others. It's not like they're looking at records, right? And I can guarantee you they do not look at win-loss records. I love that the dripstick that Johnny Drip Drip had on Raw. Oh, God, they should not brand. You're telling me they should brand and sell them? Rick Boogs is cool AF. Every time he plays Shinsuke's music, I get super hyped. Alexa Bliss is going to ruin another wrestler. Are we not tired of the doll yet? Lastly, acknowledge him. That's all for this week, Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan. Well, Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan, I have yet to acknowledge him. I'm still having, my ego's having a problem with him being the head of my table. So I guess you'll have to ask me next week if I acknowledge him. Maybe I'll slowly break down. But yes, I'm tired of the doll. The doll we've seen for 2 months now, and it does magic tricks, and we're all supposed to be spooked out. So thank you, Miss Casual Wrestling Fan, and yes, we will be in touch soon. I do want you on as a host. The fans are demanding it. The listeners are demanding you come back. So I want to make sure that we please our listeners and get you on the show. All right, that's enough of me. Kind of a short week for emails. No, I mean, we've had much longer emails, guys. You know, especially around pay-per-view times. So let's now dive into your voices. Give mine a chance to chill out and hear what you guys have to talk about this week in WWE.
It's Callin from Baltimore, Maryland. I just got done watching SmackDown last night, and I was just thinking to myself, who is Roman Reigns going to be, facing, who is his next credible opponent for that championship? I know to do something to Usos, and it's good TV time, but I'm just thinking to myself, who is Roman Reigns going to be facing? Who is Bobby Lashley going to be facing beyond, heading into the summer? Both champions don't have any major direction for the championships, pretty much, even though Roman Reigns is doing great work and I enjoy what he's doing. That's my thought process from that. And also with Bianca Belair as well, it's like, look, she is acting exactly like Sasha Banks. I don't know what her character is super arrogant and it's super similar to Sasha. It's not exactly the same, but it is similar. And Bayley is the highlight of this feud, is really dominating this feud. And her laugh is annoying as well. Bayley's laugh is annoying. So I don't know the direction they're going with Bianca at this point. I love Bianca, but I just think her character is very weird. I don't know what she is really, and she is, she's just super similar to Sasha. She's not exactly the same, but she is very, very similar. Well, actually, I think she is the same. You don't, but I think she is. And I just think she's just lost in her character right now. And just, ever since Bianca and Rhea became champions, Rhea has been not really good, and Bianca's has been acting weird and very lost, I feel like, as champion. But that's my thoughts. But thanks for my call. Bye.
Hey, Kyle. So thanks as always every week for calling in. Very much appreciate the consistency. Well, I will give you this with the similarities between Bayley and Sasha. They like to laugh annoyingly. If I was going to rank the annoyingness level of Sasha and Bayley's laugh, I would still say Sasha's is much more obnoxious than Bayley's. Why? Well, it just audibly is, but also the intent behind it. What I mean by that is Bayley is overtly using her laugh as supposed to be annoying, whereas Sasha kind of, at least it came across, as she was doing it almost naturally. as if that's who she really is. And her laugh that came out natural, to me, makes it more annoying than having it manufactured by creative to do. So Sasha, to me, wins that trophy for the most annoying laugh. They are very similar. If I said they're not, then I don't know what I was thinking. I guess if I said they're not, it might have depended on the context of the question you asked. I don't remember the previous question you asked, but I will say, while they're certainly not identical in the way they look, even their in-ring style is a little bit different. They do have similarities in their laugh. Their arrogance is palatable. I mean, you could feel their arrogance oozing through the screen. But the differences, I think, also lie in the promos, right? Like, I don't think Sasha's ever that good of a promo. I just don't. I think she's really good in the ring. Really good in the ring. I love Sasha in the ring. What she did with Bianca Belair at WrestleMania was it was historic. It was great. Really good. Arguably the best match of the entire pay-per-view. But I think Bayley in the, on promos is better. I think generally Bayley is better on promos than Sasha Banks is. I know that you're a huge Sasha Banks fan, so you're probably disagreeing with me. But while I say I do see the similarities in arrogance, in laughter, and some personality traits, they should try to distinct themselves from one another. And that's why I think they made such a great team when they ran roughshod over the summer last year. So, Kyle, thank you as always, and let's keep the voicemails going.
Hi, this is Sean Bryant. I haven't been watching the show or listening on the show in a long time. I just couldn't watch SmackDown this week, and I tuned into the SmackDown podcast. Very informative, and I just thought I'd leave a comment. I love listening to the guy doing the review, and it really caught me up to speed on what was going on SmackDown so far. And I just really felt it was a great review, and I love the connection that me and him have. Like, I've been following Roman Reigns since day one, and even when people were booing them, I still like Roman Reigns, and I still like Roman Reigns' character today. So I just wanted to give out appreciation for doing the podcast. Great review, and I want to continue listening straight forward. Have a nice day.
Hey, Sean Bryant, I hope you're doing well. I do appreciate the call-in for sure, and the compliments. Usually when you get you get some feedback from people. It's not always positive, but I'm glad that our co-host Michael Ritter was able to connect you with the show, and I'm glad that you enjoyed his review. Certainly, he's an asset to the team, and I will pass along those compliments to him. I'll let him know, that we had a listener call in. I'll just give him the timestamp, which is around 43 minutes or so into the show, 42 minutes, whatever it may be. And thank you so much. I do appreciate that. And, I know that you have a lot of options with wrestling podcasts. I mean, you talk about overcrowding. Wrestling podcasts are just, they're all over the place. And, I can proudly say that we are in typically the top 60, top 50 wrestling podcasts in the United States. So, it's not easy in a crowded space. And when you have all those other ones like Jericho and Austin and Jim Ross and Conrad Thompson and The Torch, and we all know who they are, who do great jobs. I mean, I'm not ranking on them at all. Like, I listen to them too, but, we're trying to play with the big boys in the deep end. I think we'll eventually get there. So thanks so much, Sean. And I do appreciate the compliments. And we'll continue on here with the show with the next voicemail.
Hey, Matt, it's Kyle from New York again. My two questions are about NXT and SmackDown, which is funny because I'm actually about to go listen to your Raw review. I think you might have just uploaded it like 5-10 minutes ago. I'm about to go listen to it, but before I do, I got two questions. One, I know I've been asking a lot of NXT questions lately because it's just been so damn good. But I know you don't watch really. I know you don't really watch NXT. Just like you always say, you just look at the results and highlights and stuff. But have you heard about the $1 million title? The $1 million title is back in NXT. Ted DiBiase opened it. Do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea? Because I think it's cool that it's back, but I also think this company has too much titles, on all 3 shows. Not just NXT, Raw and SmackDown. All 3 shows have too much titles. Also, one thing that's really good, though. NXT TakeOver in your house this Sunday. Have you heard about this main event? It's going to be insane. There's supposed to be, if you don't know yet, the main event for that TakeOver this Sunday is supposed to be an NXT title fatal 5-way match. And Karrion Kross defending against Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano. That match, I am so hyped for. I think it's going to be awesome. So, let me know what you think about those 2 things, the main event and the $1 million title thing. Also, my SmackDown question, I don't know if you've heard. Supposedly, the rumor I've heard is Roman Reigns is set to defend the Universal Championship against Rey Mysterio at Hell in a Cell. So, what do you think about that? I think it's because they don't have much babyfaces on SmackDown right now, because while they make Rey Mysterio get a shot, he's already a SmackDown Tag Team Champion. Actually, no. So let me think about that. Also, I just have a Raw question, actually. Are you happy that Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley are done for good after this final match at Hell in a Cell? I sure am. I hope Drew loses and moves on. And I think that's all I could think of today. Those are my 4 questions. So, yeah, I'll talk to you next week. Thanks as always.
All right. Well, Kyle, your 2 questions did morph into 4, so let me run through them quickly. The $1 million title. Now, I did see this, on the highlights and the results and things. I think it's not a good idea. Just because, as you said, we have enough championships. I mean, my answer can be as simple and as cop-out as that, but it's true. We have more than enough titles in this wrestling world of WWE to last us a lifetime that we don't need another. And I understand the significance of Ted DiBiase, a legend in the business. I get it. But to me, it should not come at the expense of yet another championship. The answer is no, I don't want it. Just for the reason you said. That fatal 4-way or 5-way that you mentioned with Cole, Gargano, Cross. Look, admittedly, I do not watch it regularly, and I've said that over and over. You reiterated that, but I want people to know that I don't watch it not because I don't want to. I have respect for the product. In fact, I wish I could only review NXT because it would be so much easier, and I wouldn't be screaming my head off on a weekly basis. But the talent involved in this, I know enough about the product to know that the guys in this match, as you said, could blow the roof off. I mean, you talk about a match of the year possible contender. These guys if they do anything short of a 4 out of 5 star match, I'll be shocked. So, Rey Mysterio against Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. I mean, you could be right. People were speculating, including myself, that it could be Jimmy Uso against Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. I think this week obviously will be very, very telling and should reveal the opponent for Roman Reigns, who has yet to be announced to have an opponent at Hell in a Cell. So yeah, it could be Rey, of which he has exactly a 0% chance of winning. So, we'll have to see. But it's fine to get me to hold me over. The problem is it's not just a babyface problem on SmackDown. It's a babyface problem, company wide. So, and the final question you had about Drew and Lashley. Oh yeah, I'm done with it. I think everyone else is too. I really don't anticipate a lot of title changes at this pay-per-view. I mean, maybe it's Charlotte Flair taking it from Rhea. I think she should. But outside of that, I don't see a whole lot of titles changing hands. Maybe the IC title if it gets put on the line. But Drew and Lashley, for God's sakes, let this please be the end. They've told us it's the end. Unless Drew wins, right? Then what? Because the stipulation wasn't that Bobby Lashley can't challenge Drew. It's that Drew can't challenge Bobby Lashley. So let's all hope and pray that doesn't happen and Drew loses. Please. All right. Let's get to let's make sure. I think this is, yes, it's the final voicemail of the show. So let's do it.
Hey, it's the Waz. Just got a couple comments about this past Raw and whatnot. First of all, the whole Baszler thing at the end of Raw, completely dumb. The camera is following her. You never see who's behind the camera, acting like she's all by herself, kind of dumb. It was obvious that, when she looked in the mirror and saw the doll, but then when she looked over, they gave somebody enough time to at least pull the doll away and then put it back when she was looking back again. So that was kind of obvious. It's too cinematic to me. It's too stupid. It's dumb. And I don't know how they're going to get away with this kind of stuff when there's fans in the stands. But anyways, Kofi, I totally want to see him join the Hurt Business or however that's going to end up working out. I think that'd be great. I think that'd be a nice turn for his character. It'd also give Xavier Woods, which I mentioned last time, an opportunity to go into a singles career, and he needs to because he is good enough to be a singles guy. He's good enough to be both a heel or a face. I can buy him in either or. And honestly, they've been kind of being heelish lately anyways with using that trombone, just blowing it and distracting people. That's totally a heel thing. Lastly, the whole thing with McIntyre and Lashley, and Lashley beats him. It'll be the last time he ever gets a chance to face Lashley for the title. Well, I know a way around that. He's going to lose, but then he's going to win Money in the Bank. That's my prediction. That's how they're going to get around it. That's how he's going to be able to fight Lashley one more time because of the contract. He gets to pick who he wants. So just putting it out there. Hopefully this gets in before you get your voicemails and emails and stuff ready for the whole mailbox episode. So, have a good one.
Well, Waz, luckily for you, yes, you just squeezed yourself in, and you are the final voicemail of the night. So, that said, I will not try to repeat myself for any questions that were also asked similarly throughout the show, but the Baszler and Alexa Bliss thing, I think it's been generally destroyed by fans, with the exception, and we even had one on the show of somebody that enjoyed it, and that's cool, right? Like, there's not going to be something that everyone loves, and there's not going to be something that everyone absolutely hates. And generally, there are some kind of split, regardless of what the segment may be. But yeah, the Shayna Baszler thing, I think in general, was panned, deservedly so. And the cameraman, I think the biggest thing, I'm big on production and realistic production, and they got a little bit trigger happy with trying to flex their production value muscles. But if Shayna Baszler goes backstage and the lights are blinking and she can't find anyone, well, I'm pretty sure there's a guy holding the camera, so apparently whatever magic that Lily had didn't affect the cameraman if she's really looking for help. And how are there cameras everywhere she goes conveniently? I can't stand that. It's like Shane McMahon, who got his head put through the window by AJ Styles and there was a camera in the car. It makes no sense. But they don't care about that stuff. We do. So, as far as Kofi Kingston to the Hurt Business, in the words of Daniel Bryan, yes. I'm a Kofi Kingston fan from the perspective of him as a performer, in terms of in the ring. I can't stand the character. I respect the man. So I want to make that distinction. But I think him going to the Hurt Business would be a revitalization of Kofi Kingston's character. He would be, I think, a great addition, as you said, to the Hurt Business. And there's something that is going to become, I think, of that. And it could also allow Xavier Woods to go on his own, as you said. There's really no downside other than, does WWE want to give up the revenue that the New Day generates? Perhaps it's going down to a point where they can say, this isn't significant anymore, significant enough to not try something new. So, Drew, Money in the Bank. Lord, let's hope not. Drew needs to step away from the championship picture completely. I don't want him in a number one contender match. I don't want him in a tournament for the championship. I don't want him in Money in the Bank. Nowhere near it. Get in a blood feud. Get in something personal. Get away from the championship, or the fans will turn. If the fans have to deal with this for another 5 weeks before they actually come back, I think the fans will turn on Drew. And WWE cannot afford that because they have no other baby faces right now. Especially no one anywhere near the caliber of Drew McIntyre. So, thank you so much, Waz, and to all the callers and all of the people that took time to email us. It's much appreciated. I know how busy everyone is, including myself, and it takes time and thought to call in, and I do appreciate that, and write in especially. It is absolutely, this show wouldn't exist without you guys doing that, right? Like, I wouldn't have a weekly mailbag without you. If I don't ever get anything, this show will not air, right? So please continue to send in your questions at realwwepodcast@gmail.com. Call us and leave a voicemail anytime, day or night. I don't answer it. It's not manned by me. 518-952-0247. So please give us a call, leave a voicemail. You have up to 3 minutes, and then it'll automatically cut you off if you're interested in that. But that's available. And if you want priority placement in this show, where you want to be read right at the beginning of the show, then you can certainly do that by signing up at patreon.com/WWE podcast, and you get yourself into the into the mix and get read right up front and answer your questions at the beginning of the show. So that does it for me tonight, guys. Again, tomorrow, Anthony and I will be recording the What If segment, but that's only going to be available probably Saturday morning on the Patreon page for those who are signed up on the Raw tier and higher. The What If segment will be coming to you there. So definitely check that out if you're interested. They're always a blast to do. And tomorrow, of course, will be AEW, NXT, and then rivalries. So everybody, thanks so much for listening. Please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And I'll talk to you next time.